Our educational system itself was really, it was incredibly, before I got here, it was weaponized like everything else in our government. Under the last administration, extreme ideologies such as critical race theory and transgender insanity were forced upon our children as young as 4 and 5 years old. Transgender didn't work. Under the Trump administration, we're systematically ending every single one of these radical left betrayals, and we're putting the parents back in charge. They're the ones that love our children. They're the ones that should be in charge. Every public school in America is now on notice that if they tell a child that they're trapped in the wrong body, they are committing child abuse.
Welcome back to the channel. The debate over American education has reached an unprecedented boiling point. For decades, public schools were viewed as the bedrock of civic life, dedicated to foundational literacy, arithmetic, and preparing the next generation to prosper in a global economy. However, recent developments highlight a dramatic shift in how public education operates. Critics argue that the educational framework was systematically weaponized under previous leadership, introducing controversial social theories and gender identity curricula to children as young as 4 and 5 years old. Parents across the nation began raising severe concerns as fundamental subjects were sidelined. Academic performance metrics dropped dramatically, with national data revealing that only 30% of public school students achieved proficiency in core reading and mathematics. Instead of focusing on fundamental skills, critics allege that school systems shifted toward political indoctrination, painting historic national figures as villains while using federal agencies to monitor concerned parents, speaking out at local school board meetings. The contrast between skyrocketing education budgets and declining student performance sparked a national push for fundamental policy reform. Let's dive into the conversation.
Beginning of our country, Americans have understood that there's no job more important than teaching our children to become happy, healthy, proud, productive, and flourishing citizens. And unfortunately, in the 4 years I took office, and since I took office, our educational system itself was really, it was incredibly, before I got here, it was weaponized like everything else in our government. Everything was weaponized against the goals that we all stand for. And under the last administration, extreme ideologies such as critical race theory and transgender insanity were forced upon our children as young as 4 and 5 years old. Transgender didn't work. Students were taught that our heroes are villains. The FBI was used to target patriotic parents at school board meetings, and meanwhile, far too many government-run schools failed at the basics, and you just have to look at the charts. They were failing at a thing called education, with only 30% of the students proficient in reading and math. That was under the last administration. Under the Trump administration, we're systematically ending every single one of these radical left betrayals, and we're putting the parents back in charge. They're the ones that love our children. They're the ones that should be in charge. So immediately upon taking office, I signed an executive order to ban critical race theory and to ban transgender ideology from public schools. That was a big deal. We banned men from playing in women's sports. That was so easy to do. I don't get it. They're still arguing. They're still fighting. I saw a Democrat congressman the other day fighting an anchor that was, I would say, somewhere in the middle, but fighting an anchor on men playing in women's sports. And I said, I hope they keep doing that, because it's got to be impossible to win a race politically. Just crazy. I've never seen anything like it, but it continues out there, although we've had big court victories, as you know, and we've largely stopped it. Every public school in America is now on notice that if they tell a child that they're trapped in the wrong body, they are committing child abuse. And as we remove the far-left extremism from the classroom, we're taking historic action to ensure that every child in America has access to a first-class education. The United States spends more money on education than any other country in the world, by double, and our results should be better than they are. I would look at lists where we're rated, out of the 40 top nations, we're rated number 38, 39, and number 40 with all the money we spent. But Linda has changed that so rapidly and so drastically, and frankly, it's shocking how fast it's gone under her leadership. 1 year ago, as part of the great big beautiful bill, we passed the Education Freedom Tax Credit, the largest ever expansion of school choice, and we want, thank you. And we want every parent to have the power to send their child to a high-quality school that shares their values. It's so important. With us today are Caleb and Jocelyn Griffith and their beautiful family from Statesville, North Carolina, great place. They've 3 biological sons and 2 foster children. School choice and education freedom scholarships are going to give these kids more opportunity than ever before. Well, as many of you know, no one cares more about America's children and foster youth than our great First Lady. She works hard at it and loves the children. Through her Fostering the Future initiative, Melania is helping transform the lives of children and young people aging out of the foster care system. And she's bringing hope and countless, and you have to see so many people, so many phone calls, so much work, but really bringing hope to countless numbers of families and children, and it's really something to see. It's so difficult. They go through foster care, and then all of a sudden they're released into the world. And, you know, many people have something to fall back on, but they don't. They can't go back to their parents for a little help or for staying overnight or for staying for years in some cases. And it's a very, very tough. So I want to thank Melania. She takes it so seriously. She's done such a great job. It's been so effective. Thank you. And as part of the great big beautiful bill, we have massively expanded 529 education saving accounts tremendously, doubling the annual withdrawal cap from K-12 expenses to $20,000 a year, and allowing families to save the education and money for education at the private or religious school of your choice. So that's something that never happened before. Nobody could even think about doing it. They can't believe it's happened now. And it's largely Linda and her representatives that have done this. And now, for the first time ever, families can also have their 529 accounts to support homeschool education. And then, thank you. And then one of the biggest things of all is what's happened with the Trump accounts, where kids will have money. I mean, every child is given at birth, newborn, $1,000. And you're going to watch that money grow. People like Michael and Susan Dell have put up a tremendous amount of money, over $6 billion. But we have many people. Some people have taken on an entire state, like the state of Indiana, by a very, very fantastic friend of mine, Brad. Thank you very much. And some very wealthy people and very wealthy companies are putting up tremendous amounts of money. The Trump accounts is being talked about all over the world. It's very good and very hot. Joining us today, Marina and Hubert from Jacksonville, Florida. They've been homeschooling their 3 children for 11 years and will benefit enormously from the new policy. The amount of money they're getting is something that they can very much use, and it's something that wouldn't have happened without the Trump administration. Well, I'm very proud to say that the Trump administration's achieved more for the benefit of Americans' children in less than 2 years than most administrations do in many years. 8 years, or frankly, you can take 2 or 3 administrations, put them together. They haven't been able to do what we did. After decades of racist policies and illegal quotas, we brought back the merit system into education. We're back on the merit system, which is what made our country great in the first place, so that our children will always be judged by the achievements and qualifications, not by the color of their skin or any other reason. We issued a guidance for protecting the right to prayer, and we now protect prayer in the public schools. They're totally protected. And last year I signed a historic executive order to begin the process of eliminating the Federal Department of Education, getting them out of Washington, and bringing education back to the states, the most important thing. And working with me on the Council on Physical Fitness, we've proudly brought back a wonderful tradition, the Presidential Fitness Test. I signed the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act, which people loved, and the farmers love it because they know how good it is more than anybody. But the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act, they weren't allowed to have whole milk, if you can believe it. They could have anything else, but they couldn't have great milk the way it is supposed to be, paving the way for more than 30 million children who drink whole milk in school. And we introduced the Real Food Pyramid and reformed the vaccine recommendations to protect America's youth. We're making America healthy again. We're strongly requesting, even telling people when you get your shots for your young child, and this has to do, we think, with preventing autism, that you go to the doctor for 5 small shots instead of 1 big, massive shot. You do it in 5 different shots. 5 different shots. Small, little shots where those beautiful little bodies can handle it. And I think you're going to see a very big difference in the rate of autism, which is like an epidemic, what's happened with autism. And this year, as we celebrate the 250th anniversary of America's founding, we're also bringing back patriotic education for our youth through the Freedom 250 Mobile Museum. Students from over 3,750 schools are learning about the heroes who have made America the most exceptional nation in history. And we're teaching our children to love America, not to hate America. There's a lot of love going on right now. Our country's never done this well. We have billions and billions of different things happening, money pouring in at the rate of not even billions, trillions, over $19 trillion being invested in America right now. The last administration had less than $1 trillion in 4 years. We had 19, more than 19, 19.2 to be exact, and that's over a period of 12 months. We haven't even included the additional 5 months. So there's never been anything like that in history. No other country in the world has ever had investment like we're having right now being made, which is building factories, car plants, everything, all over, AI, all over the country at levels that nobody's ever seen before. No other country has ever seen what's happened. It's a revolution, a positive revolution. So in everything we do, we're empowering our nation's parents, we're restoring high standards and the pursuit of excellence, and we're proving that the golden age of American education is just beginning.
In response to these growing concerns, sweeping federal changes were implemented to dismantle far-left ideological programs within public classrooms. Executive orders were issued to ban critical race theory and transgender ideology from federally funded public schools, while federal policy moved decisively to restrict biological males from participating in female sports divisions. Under these measures, public school administrations face direct accountability regarding gender transition discussions with minors, explicitly defining such actions as child abuse under school policy to return authority back to parents. Beyond curriculum restrictions, policy shifts have focused heavily on restructuring educational funding to empower individual families directly. To address historical performance disparities, the administration introduced the Education Freedom Tax Credit, marking the largest expansion of school choice in U.S. history. Through this legislation, 529 education savings accounts received massive expansions, doubling the annual tax-free withdrawal cap for K-12 expenses to $20,000 per year for private, religious, or customized learning resources. The scope of educational choice has expanded significantly beyond traditional private institutions. For the first time in federal policy history, families utilizing homeschool education can draw directly from expanded 529 savings accounts to fund curriculum materials, technology, and instructional tools. Simultaneously, long-term financial investments for children were launched through the Trump Accounts initiative, providing every newborn with a $1,000 starting trust boosted by over $6 billion in private philanthropic contributions. Federal policies have also reshaped academic standards and student wellness within public education. Decades of race-based admissions and quotas were formally replaced with a return to merit-based evaluation, ensuring students are measured strictly by academic achievement. Concurrently, efforts to return decision-making authority to individual state governments began alongside health updates, reinstating the presidential fitness test, passing the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act, and introducing the Freedom 250 Mobile Museum to foster civic pride across 3,750 schools nationwide. The ongoing structural overhaul of the American education system represents a fundamental pivot toward parental rights, local governance, and meritocracy. by removing political ideologies from basic curricula, expanding tax-subsidized school choice, and focusing on foundational student wellness, federal policies aim to establish higher standards across every state. As these policies take full effect, the nation watches closely to see how these sweeping reforms will impact academic performance and shape the future of American youth. If you found this breakdown insightful, make sure to hit that like button, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so you never miss our deep dives into the biggest national policy debates.